Welcome to Adventure Koala Stories, where imagination meets the animal kingdom. Join our brave hero Adventure Koala and his super animal rescue team as they journey through forests, savannas, and oceans, solving mysteries and discovering treasures at every turn. Perfect for the whole family, these tales of friendship, courage, and mischief will inspire and entertain young hearts and minds alike. Like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, so you never miss an adventure. Now buckle up and pay close attention for today's Adventure Koala question of the day at the end. Today's episode is Adventure Koala and the Silly Speedway Showdown. The morning sun played hide-and-seek through fluffy clouds over Adventure Town as citizens went about their day. But something unusual was happening at the town square. Colorful posters were being hung everywhere, announcing the Adventure Town Silly Speedway in bold, rainbow-colored letters. Animals gathered around, chattering excitedly about the upcoming race. Meanwhile, at SART headquarters, strange mechanical noises and occasional laughter echoed from the garage. Inside, Adventure Koala was completely absorbed in his work, his face marked with rainbow streaks of paint and motor oil that made him look like he was ready for a carnival rather than a mechanical project. His normally gray fur had splotches of blue and green where he'd accidentally brushed against wet paint. Colorful tools and gadget parts lay scattered across his workbench as he carefully adjusted the wheels on his latest invention, the Eucalyptus Express, a small but mighty race car powered by special eucalyptus fuel. The car itself was a marvel of creative engineering, shaped somewhat like a koala's head, with headlights for eyes that actually blinked. "Just a few more tweaks," Adventure Koala mumbled to himself, sticking out his tongue in concentration as he tightened a bolt. "The suspension needs to be just right for the big race on Saturday." He had been working since dawn, so focused on his creation that he'd forgotten breakfast entirely. Simon Squirrel scampered into the workshop, his cheeks stuffed with nuts. "How's it coming along?" he asked, sending bits of shell flying as he spoke. Adventure Koala looked up with a grin. "Almost perfect. Want to test the horn?" Simon nodded eagerly and pressed the big green button on the dashboard. Instead of a normal beep-beep, the car let out a loud eucalyptus power, followed by the sound of munching. "Ha! That'll definitely get everyone's attention at the race," Simon chuckled, wiping crumbs from his fur. The race they were preparing for was no ordinary competition. It was the first ever Adventure Town Silly Speedway, a race where the cars had to be as funny as they were fast. Mayor Marigold had organized it to raise funds for the town's new playground, and teams from all over were joining in the fun. But there was one racer Adventure Koala was particularly curious about, a mysterious entry who called himself the Hooded Honker. Nobody knew who he was, but rumors spread that his car could make anyone who saw it laugh for hours. "The poster says the winner gets to design one special feature for the new playground," Penny Panther remarked as she strolled into the workshop, reading from a colorful flyer. "What would you choose, Adventure Koala?" Adventure Koala pondered, scratching his fuzzy ear. "Maybe a tree-climbing wall with different levels for all kinds of animals, big and small. What about you?" "A super stealthy ninja course," Penny replied with a gleam in her eye. "With soft padding so no one gets hurt, of course." Just then, the workshop door burst open with a bang. In tumbled Humphrey Hippopotamus, Adventure Town's newest resident and the clumsiest animal anyone had ever met. "Oops, sorry about that," Humphrey exclaimed, picking himself up and accidentally knocking over a shelf of spare parts. "Oh dear, sorry about that too." He spun around to help clean up and stepped on a tube of glue, sending him sliding across the floor like a hippopotamus on ice skates. Adventure Koala and his friends couldn't help but laugh as Humphrey finally came to a stop, somehow wearing a bucket on his head like a hat. "Humphrey," Adventure Koala chuckled, helping remove the bucket. "What brings you by today?" "Well," Humphrey said, slightly out of breath, "I wanted to ask if I could join your race team. I've never been in a race before, but I'm very enthusiastic." To demonstrate his enthusiasm, he jumped up and down, making the entire workshop tremble. Adventure Koala exchanged glances with Penny and Simon. Humphrey was sweet and well-meaning, but putting him near a delicate race car seemed risky. "Maybe you could be our team mascot," Adventure Koala suggested kindly. "You could cheer us on and help keep the team's spirits high." Humphrey's face lit up. "A mascot? Oh boy, I'd love that. I've been practicing my cheers." He took a deep breath and let out a cheer so loud that a picture fell off the wall. "Go team go! Zoom, zoom, zoom! Adventure Koala will clear the room." "That's not exactly how that cheer is supposed to go," Simon whispered to Penny. "We'll work on it," Penny whispered back. The next few days were a flurry of activity as Adventure Koala and his team fine-tuned the Eucalyptus Express and prepared for race day. They added silly features to the car, including bubble-blowing headlights, a confetti cannon exhaust, and seats that occasionally went BOING and bounced the driver up and down. Meanwhile, Humphrey took his mascot duties very seriously. He designed an elaborate costume with pom-poms, a sparkly hat, and a giant foam finger that said, "Eucalyptus is #1." Unfortunately, when he tried it on, he knocked over 3 lamps, got stuck in the doorway, and accidentally sat on the confetti cannon, triggering it early and filling the workshop with colorful paper. Finally, Saturday arrived. Race day. The Silly Speedway had been set up in the meadow outside of town. Colorful flags fluttered in the breeze, and bleachers were packed with excited animals from Adventure Town and beyond. Food stalls sold treats like Miss Molly's rainbow cotton candy and hot cocoa with marshmallow mountains. Adventure Koala guided the Eucalyptus Express to the starting line, where 5 other cars were already waiting. There was Bruno from Big Bear City in his Honey Zoomer, a car shaped like a giant honey pot with real bees painted on the sides. No real bees, of course. That wouldn't be silly, just scary. Gina Gecko was polishing her sticky Speedster, a bright green car with enormous suction cups instead of wheels. "They grip the track," she explained proudly when people looked confused. The Whisker Whisper twins, 2 identical mouse brothers, sat in their cheese-shaped mousetrap mobile, which squeaked loudly with every movement. Ollie the Owl perched atop his Night Flyer, a car covered in soft feathers that occasionally hooted instead of honking. And finally, there was the mysterious hooded Honker in a car completely hidden under a giant purple sheet. Only a pair of silly-looking eyes on springs bobbed above the sheet, swaying back and forth hypnotically. Mayor Marigold stepped onto a small stage decorated with balloons. "Welcome, everyone, to the first ever Adventure Town Silly Speedway," she announced through a megaphone. "Remember, this race isn't just about speed. It's about making people laugh. The silliest, funniest, most entertaining car will receive bonus points, even if it doesn't finish first." From the sidelines, Humphrey began his cheer, waving his giant foam finger enthusiastically. "Eucalyptus Express! You're the best! Better than all the whoop!" His enthusiastic jumping made him lose balance, and he tumbled backward into a puddle, sending a spectacular splash over several spectators. The crowd roared with laughter. "See? Humphrey's already earning us points," Penny remarked with a smile. Mayor Marigold raised a checkered flag. "Racers, start your engines!" The cars rumbled to life, except for the mousetrap mobile, which made a sound like pfft and then hiccuped before finally starting. The crowd giggled. "On your mark, get set, go silly!" And they were off. The Eucalyptus Express zoomed forward, its bubble-blowing headlights creating a trail of shimmering spheres behind it. The Honey Zoomer buzzed loudly as it accelerated, while the sticky Speedster made funny slurping sounds as its suction cups gripped and released the track. The racecourse wound through Adventure Town, past the bakery, around the town square, through a tunnel of flowering trees, and finally back to the meadow. Adventure Koala gripped the steering wheel, a determined smile on his face as he navigated the first curve. The hooded Honker was right behind him, the mysterious sheet flapping dramatically. Every few seconds, the car would make an absolutely ridiculous honk-a-doodle-doo sound that had spectators doubled over with laughter. Whoever that is, they've really embraced the silly theme, Adventure Koala thought as he pressed the button for the confetti cannon, sending a burst of color into the air as he rounded the turn by Miss Molly's bakery. Not to be outdone, Bruno in the honey zoomer pulled a lever that made his car release the smell of fresh honey buns, causing several racers to sniff appreciatively and momentarily lose focus. The Whisker Whisper Twins cheese car began playing a catchy tune about cheese, complete with yodeling. As they zoomed through the town square, Adventure Koala was neck and neck with the hooded honker. Just as Adventure Koala was about to pull ahead, his seat went BOING and bounced him up and down, making him momentarily lose control. "Whoa!" he exclaimed, quickly regaining his grip on the wheel. "I forgot I programmed that to happen randomly." The crowd loved it, pointing and laughing at the sight of Adventure Koala bouncing in his seat like he was on a pogo stick. Even Mayor Marigold was wiping tears of mirth from her eyes. The race continued with silly mishap after silly mishap. Ollie's feathered car began to molt, leaving a trail of feathers that made Gina Gecko sneeze so hard her sticky Speedster did a complete flip and somehow landed back on its suction cups, still moving forward. The Mousetrap Mobile got temporarily stuck in a giant blob of bubble gum that someone had dropped, but the car cleverly transformed into a giant cheese grater and shredded its way free. As they approached the tunnel of flowering trees, Adventure Koala noticed something odd. The hooded honker's car was making a strange sputtering sound, and the sheet was starting to slip, revealing glimpses of something familiar underneath. Just then, the Eucalyptus Express's special fuel gauge began to blink. "Uh-oh," Adventure Koala muttered. "Running low on eucalyptus power." He pressed a button labeled Emergency Eucalyptus Boost, and a small compartment opened, revealing his secret stash of eucalyptus leaves. But as he reached for them, a sudden bump in the road sent the precious leaves flying out of the car. "Oh no!" Adventure Koala cried, watching his fuel source scatter in the wind. Without it, the Eucalyptus Express would soon sputter to a stop. To his surprise, the hooded honker's car suddenly swerved and came alongside him. A familiar voice called out, "Need some help, Adventure Koala?" The purple sheet finally blew off completely, revealing none other than Wally the Walrus at the wheel of a car that looked like a giant clamshell on wheels. "Wally?" Adventure Koala exclaimed. "You're the hooded honker?" "Surprise!" Wally replied with his trademark mischievous grin. "Thought I'd join in the fun this time instead of causing trouble." Before Adventure Koala could respond, Wally pressed a button on his dashboard, and a mechanical arm extended from his car, holding a bunch of fresh eucalyptus leaves. "Here, catch!" Can't have a proper race if someone runs out of fuel, can we? Adventure Koala blinked in surprise, but gratefully accepted the eucalyptus leaves. "Thanks, Wally. But why help me? Don't you want to win?" "Of course I do," Wally laughed. "But I want to win fair and square. Besides, this race is for the town playground. Even I can get behind that cause." With renewed energy and fuel, the Eucalyptus Express surged forward once more. Wally's clamshell cruiser kept pace, occasionally squirting small jets of water at the crowd, who squealed with delight at the unexpected shower. As they approached the final stretch, 5 of the 6 cars were practically side by side. Only the Mousetrap Mobile had fallen behind, having taken a wrong turn and ended up at the cheese shop, which the Whisker Whisper twins later claimed was a complete accident. Honest. The crowd was on their feet, cheering wildly as the cars zoomed toward the finish line. Adventure Koala and Wally were in the lead, with Bruno's Honey Zoomer close behind, followed by Gina's Sticky Speedster and Ollie's Night Flyer. In the final seconds, Adventure Koala had a split-second decision to make. He could activate his secret turbo boost and likely win the race. Or he could do something even sillier that might cost him the victory but would definitely make everyone laugh. Without hesitation, Adventure Koala chose option 2. He pressed the big red button labeled Maximum Silly that he'd installed just for fun. Instantly, the Eucalyptus Express transformed. The hood flipped open to reveal a giant jack-in-the-box koala that popped up, wearing a tutu and singing opera. The wheels turned into bouncy balls, making the car hop rather than roll. And most ridiculously of all, Adventure Koala's seat ejected him high into the air, where he opened a tiny umbrella and floated gently down right onto the finish line, just as Wally's clamshell cruiser crossed it. The crowd went absolutely wild with laughter and applause. Mayor Marigold was laughing so hard she could barely hold the megaphone. And the winner is Wally the Walrus in the clamshell cruiser. But the silliest car award definitely goes to Adventure Koala's Eucalyptus Express. Humphrey was jumping up and down with excitement, forgetting that he was still in his massive mascot costume. With each jump, he bounced a little higher until he accidentally bounced right into the winner's circle, where he crashed into a table of trophy cupcakes, sending frosting flying everywhere. Rather than being upset, Wally burst out laughing. "Now that's silly," he exclaimed, wiping a glob of frosting from his whiskers. After everyone had caught their breath and cleaned up a bit, Mayor Marigold gathered all the racers on the stage. "As promised, Wally, as our winner, you get to choose one special feature for the new playground. What would you like?" Wally thought for a moment, twirling his whiskers thoughtfully. "Well, I was thinking, how about a splash zone? With water sprinklers that go off randomly and little water slides for the hot summer days?" The crowd murmured approvingly. It was actually a wonderful idea. "And," Wally continued, glancing at Adventure Koala, "since the Eucalyptus Express won the Silliest Car Award, I think Adventure Koala should get to choose a feature too." Mayor Marigold looked surprised but pleased. "That seems fair to me. Adventure Koala, what would you like to add to our playground?" "Adventure." Koala smiled. "A tree-climbing wall with different levels for all kinds of animals, big and small, right next to Wally's splash zone, so everyone can cool off after climbing." The children in the crowd cheered louder than ever. Later, as the sun began to set over Adventure Town, Adventure Koala and his friends helped clean up after the race. Humphrey, finally free of his mascot costume, was carefully, well, as carefully as a clumsy hippopotamus could be, collecting fallen confetti. "You know," Penny Panther said to Adventure Koala, "you could have won if you hadn't pressed that silly button at the end." Adventure Koala nodded. "I know, but seeing everyone laugh like that was worth way more than crossing the finish line first." "Plus," Simon Squirrel added, "who would have thought Wally would turn out to be such a good sport? Helping you with fuel and then sharing his prize." "Sometimes animals can surprise you," Adventure Koala replied wisely. "Even someone like Wally has a good side." As if on cue, Wally waddled over, carrying a small cardboard box. "Almost forgot. I saved these for you," he said, handing the box to Adventure Koala. Inside were fresh eucalyptus leaves, for your next invention, whatever it may be. Adventure Koala accepted the gift with a smile. "Thanks, Wally. Does this mean you're joining the good guys now?" Wally snorted. "Let's not get carried away. I still have my reputation as Adventure Town's #1 troublemaker to maintain, but—" His expression softened slightly. "I suppose even troublemakers can take a break now and then to help build a playground." Just then, Humphrey came barreling toward them, tripped over nothing at all, and sent the box of eucalyptus leaves flying into the air. As leaves rained down on them, everyone, Adventure Koala, Penny, Simon, and even Wally, burst into laughter. After all, sometimes the silliest moments make for the best adventures. The end. And now, time for today's Adventure Koala question of the day. What was the name of the new clumsy hippopotamus character who became the team's mascot? I'll be right back with the answer. Did you get it? What was the name of the new clumsy hippopotamus character who became the team's mascot? If you guessed Humphrey Hippopotamus, you're correct. Great job. Thanks for listening, and remember to like and subscribe to Adventure Koala Stories to keep up with all the adventures. And if you like this episode, we'd love if you could leave a review. That's it for now. Goodbye.